If you weren't looking for this video, but it found you, that probably means life feels a little loud right now, maybe even a lot loud. You might be moving through the kind of season where everything feels like it's happening all at once and your mind can't find a place to land. I got you, friend. Settle in and just breathe with me for a minute. Hello, and welcome to Torches, Yoga and Mindfulness. If you're new here, I'm Lauren, and I'll be your coach. If you are curious about mindfulness or healing and practical habits that actually work, you're in the right place because here we focus on simple but powerful practices grounded in ancient wisdom and modern science to care for both our minds and bodies. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. So we've all had these chapters in life that feel like this, and if you're in one right now, I'm glad you're here. This conversation was made for the days when clarity feels impossible. The first good news I want to share with you is that you don't have to wait for things to settle or for life to stop for a minute so you can regain clarity. It's something we can learn how to access even when the world refuses to quiet down. And before we dive into the science, let's remember the heart of this whole May series. Mindfulness that actually works when life is messy. Not aspirational practices, no go sit in a cushion for 30 minutes. We are talking about tools that meet us in real overwhelm. Today we're exploring why clarity disappears in chaos and how we can gently coax it back one tiny physiological shift at a time. Let's start with the biology of what's actually happening. We know we have a sympathetic nervous system. That is our fight or flight response. And then there's the parasympathetic. That's our rest and digest states. And when life gets chaotic, the nervous system shifts into what researchers sometimes call a threat preparation state. The amygdala, our guard dog, becomes more active, and the sympathetic nervous system releases stress hormones, one of which we've talked about is cortisol. Our heartbeat increases and breathing quickens, muscles brace, and all of this can happen before you even have a chance to have a single conscious thought about any of it. This fast response is woven into our evolution. Long ago, our bodies learned to react quickly to real danger, and even though our modern chaos is usually emotional or logistical instead of physical, the body doesn't distinguish very well. Stress is stress. The moment the amygdala senses overwhelm, it basically taps the prefrontal cortex on the shoulders like, hey, I got this. Go ahead and step aside. I'll take it from here. And our clarity steps right on out with the PFC. The prefrontal cortex is the part governing long-term thinking, decision-making, planning, perspective holding. It gets quieter. It's not totally gone, but it's over here whispering suggestions while the amygdala barks orders through a megaphone. It's the equivalent of trying to solve a puzzle in a room where someone keeps flipping the light switch on and off. This is why we lose track of conversations. We forget our point mid-sentence and we struggle to see the big picture. It's why everything feels urgent. It's why we reread the same email 3 times. It's why we bounce between tasks without finishing them. And something most people never learn is that clarity doesn't return because we try harder. It returns because the body shifts states. Neuroscientist Stephen Porges describes this through polyvagal theory. When the nervous system feels even slightly safer, our social engagement system comes back online. Our facial muscles will soften, the breath lengthens, and even our hearing changes. And the pathways between the emotional brain and the thinking brain, they reconnect. This is why these smallest grounding practices help clarity return. They aren't psychological tricks, they're physiological shifts, and these open access to the PFC. One of the simplest tools we can use is orientation. You've heard me use this word a lot because it's one of the most reliable ways to downshift out of the threat response. When things feel chaotic, our awareness collapses inward. Our eyes literally narrow, peripheral vision reduces. We become hyper-focused on the source of stress. Even if we can't identify it clearly, orientation interrupts that collapse. When we move our eyes slowly across our environment, the brain gets a signal of safety. In nature, an animal only scans the horizon when it feels safe enough to do so. We still carry that wiring. In MRI studies, simply looking around the room and naming what we see can reduce amygdala activation and increase PFC activities. It's subtle but powerful. Try it now. Wherever you are, let your gaze drift to the left, just noticing shapes and colors. Then let it drift to the right, maybe noticing lights and shadows. Nothing fancy, just letting your eyes remind your system that you are here and it's not dangerous. That tiny shift creates enough space for clarity to re enter. Another piece that helps is naming what's happening inside us, what scientists call affect labeling. There's a fascinating study from UCLA showing that when we say a simple phrase about our internal state, something like, I feel overwhelmed, the amygdala decreases its activation while regulatory regions in the cortex increase. In other words, naming our feelings gives the emotional brain a place to land. It frees up space so the thinking brain can return. And if you place a hand somewhere on your body, right now, maybe your chest or your belly, and whisper a short phrase to yourself, you might feel a slight shift. This is too much right now. Everything feels tangled. I feel scattered. The body doesn't need poetic language, it just needs honesty. From there, clarity needs one more thing: external space. When the mind is crowded, cognitive load increases. So, cognitive load is basically our mental bandwidth that we have available at any moment, and chaos eats that bandwidth quickly. This is where distributed cognition becomes incredibly helpful. Our brains think better when we let something outside of us hold some of the information. Cue the eye roll, I know, because yes, I am once again talking about journaling. This could look like just a notebook, a note in your phone, a voice memo, or just a scrap of paper. Anything that lets the inside noise live somewhere other than inside your noggin. When we externalize, we reduce the working memory burden. Psychologists describe working memory like a small desk. When too many papers pile up, nothing makes sense. But if we move a few things off the desk, suddenly we can see what's in front of us again. This is why people often find clarity once they brain dump in a journal. It isn't because the problems evaporate, it's because the mind gets room to reorganize itself. After that, clarity almost always returns in layers. The first layer is emotional truth. Like, what am I actually feeling underneath all this noise? Naming this layer often frees more clarity than anything else. The second layer is the practical next step, not 10 steps, just one. The brain can only act on what feels doable in the state we're in. And the third layer is the self support layer. What do I need to sustain myself as I move through this? Even tiny acts of support regulate the system enough to keep clarity accessible. Right now, wherever you are, let's practice a visualization to help kind of tie all this together. Imagine with me, with your eyes open or closed, whichever is safe for you right now, but imagine your inner world like weather for a moment. Not a moral judgment on the thoughts or feelings, just a natural phenomena moving through. There may be stormy skies, windy gusts of overwhelm, or fog bringing low visibility. We can't control the weather, but we can orient ourselves inside it. Now imagine in the middle of that weather, a tiny lamp is flickering. That's the part of you that still knows something. The part that hasn't disappeared, even if you can't fully feel it. It only lights a few feet in front of you, but that's all clarity ever really is, the next few feet. If you ask, what is the next right step just for today? Your system might whisper something surprisingly simple. Reach for some water, slow down for a minute, write down 3 things that are swirling in your mind. Tell someone what's happening, step outside for some fresh air. Clarity loves simplicity. It doesn't need some master plan to arrive, just one doable step. All right, my friend, this conversation comes at a great time. It is a beautiful coincidence that we are talking about mindfulness skill number 6 next week. And skill number 6 is inner calm. And we talk about practices like these and some more. As we close out today, hold on to this. Chaos doesn't mean we've failed. It means our nervous system is trying to protect us. And when we understand the science of that protection, we get choice back. We get to work with our biology instead of against it. When we practice orientation, naming, and externalizing, even for a few moments, we reopen the pathways that allow clarity to return. Not perfectly, not instantly, but reliably. And in overwhelming or chaotic seasons, reliable is everything. And remember, clarity grows wherever we offer ourselves just a little space. Friend, thank you so much for sharing a piece of your day with me. Stay present, stay kind to yourself, and I will see you soon.